Okay, if I can get everybody, please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. The proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2. Please note, customers of CenturyLink and Cox Communication can view the program in high definition on Channel 1002 and in standard definition on Channel 2. You can also watch the meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the GoPro app. The Planning Commission meeting, as well as other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcasted on KCLV and the web the Saturday of the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Can I have the roll call of the officers, please?
Chair DeSalvio.
Present.
Vice Chair Schlottman.
Present.
Commissioner Cherry.
Present.
Commissioner Toussaint.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Rogan.
Present.
Commissioner Chadha.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I call your attention to the information printed on your agenda concerning the actions and the appeals and reviews process, if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains the rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Item number 4, under public comment during this portion of the agenda, must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion, as well as the amount of time any single speaker will be limited. This is noticed as a public comment. Anybody wish to be heard, please come forward, state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman from Ward 6, Michelle Fiore, and I am just here to congratulate my planning commissioner on being the chairperson for this fabulous planning, and I just have to tell you guys, I watch you, and I think each and every one of you are fabulous, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to be heard during public comment? Please come forward, state your name for the record. All right, seeing none, I'll close that portion of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would...
Oh, please, Commissioner. Okay. All right. All comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? We did that. And then moving on to item number 5, for possible action to approve the final minutes of the Planning Commission meeting on November 26th and December 10th, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the final meeting minutes from November 26th and December 10th, 2019.
I have just one question for council. I did not attend the December 10th. However, I did watch it in length on television, so is it okay to make a motion?
Chairman, you are able to vote if you believe that you are able to affirm that the minutes are correct.
Okay. With that said, you heard the motion. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Chadha, would you like to vote verbally?
Yes, I'll vote yay on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on it.
That motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 6, for possible action, any items from the Planning Commission staff and/or the applicant wish to be stricken or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward upon this time.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to hold items 32 through 36 in abeyance to the January 28th meeting, please.
Okay. I thought it was going to, hold on, I thought it was February it was going at least, right? February or March? March.
Mr. Chair. Can we just make it clear for the record if that was the applicant's request or the commissioner's request?
This is the commissioner's request. The applicant's not here.
It was the applicant's request to obey it, correct? Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, so we'll make a correction to obey items 32 through 36 to the March 10th meeting.
Okay, thank you. Should we list that under housekeeping?
Yes, sir. So, yes, Mr. Chairman, so that'll be a housekeeping item. If we want to go to staff to get the rest, and then if anyone from the audience or any other planning commissioners have additional housekeeping items, we can add those.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to the housekeeping items. Are there any items that the commissioners and staff, applicants, and members of the public wish to be pulled forward for action?
Mr. Chairman, we have some housekeeping items. The applicants wish to obey items 8, 11 through 12, and 49 through 52 to the February 11th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. This is the first abeyance request for these items. The applicant wishes to withdraw without prejudice items 40 through 42, and the applicant wishes to obey items 47 and 48 to the March 10th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. This is the first abeyance request for these items. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak on any of these items? Please come forward, state your name for the record, please.
Norman Clokey,
Spell that last name for me, sir.
Kloke, 5400 Tessera Way, 104, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89108. I want to speak on 32 because we have all these to turn in that were mailed to us. A lot of people threw them away because they got 4 of them and they thought they all said the same thing because the church's name was on top. So, can I speak on this or not?
Okay, so at this time, seeing the applicant's not present, you can only speak on if it should be obeyed or not, but if you want, you've seen that you came down here, if you want to put your statement on the record, that would be fine.
Yes, we have a community, there's 105 condos in our community, and just about everybody in there doesn't want anything across the street except houses. We went through this about 4 or 5 years ago. We're a small community. Block down the street on Decatur is a bar or restaurant, gas station, car wash. Up the street 2 blocks is the same thing. We're on Michael Way and Smoke Ranch. On Lake Mead, there's plenty of businesses over there. It's just, this community is mostly all houses and churches, so. And we don't need the traffic. We have enough problems with people speeding down the street 25 miles an hour, and they go a lot faster, but everybody in our community is just about retired up to 97 years old. We don't need any more problems from the neighborhood outside the street. Our walls is pretty safe inside. Outside, I guess you guys know what the neighborhood's like. We haven't had much trouble in our neighborhood at all. We want to keep it that way, so the people in the community have asked us to come down and let you know that they'd like to be able to walk their dogs in the morning and not have any problems. So, and traffic is already getting a little bad on the street, and that's just going to make it a lot worse. So,
I appreciate it. Do you have anything that you wanted to submit? I've seen a stack of cards. Did you want to give?
I gave them.
Okay,
already,
you did?
so.
Okay. I appreciate you coming out.
Like I say, a lot of people threw those away because when they read them, they saw the same name, the church name on top, all 4 of them. They didn't really read all the fine print, so they threw them away, so.
Okay, well, it's coming back on March 10th. So.
March 10th.
And I think you'll be re-notified, correct?
You'll notify us again? Great, thank you
All right,
very much.
you got it.
Thank you for your time.
Next, please.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, there will not be another notification sent out. Okay.
Please
My
state your
name-
name for the record.
My name,
Yes.
my name is Lydia Garrett. I live at 1921 West McDonald Avenue. I am the president of the North Valley Neighborhood Association. I'm here to speak on item number 8. This project is directly across the street from where we live. No one in our community has been notified. I didn't know about this until today. I'm also would like to see the plans that the developer has to build a dollar store in our community. We have 4 dollar stores currently. The dollar stores that did come, they did come to the neighborhood association and speak to the residents. This developer has not been to the neighborhood and spoken to us. We're also concerned about the type of businesses that it will be there. We want businesses there, but it needs to be a business that's going to give a living wage to people, not more minimum wage jobs. Also, we're looking, we've done a lot of improvement in that area of blight, right across the street at Martin Luther King and Cary at Cary Arms Apartments. Our crime rate is down 38%. Our property values have tripled, and we want to continue in that process. We just feel that this dollar store may not be the direction that our community wants to go in. We're more interested in things that are going to improve our community and bring up the jobs in the area and the tax base in the area, and also bring up the quality of life and the property values as well. So I was never notified. I know I live within 500 feet of this. I've never been notified. I would like to invite the developer to come to a meeting. We have a meeting every second Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. at Mount, the person behind me can tell you what church we're at this week, but he's welcome to come and attend and speak to the residents and present his plan to the residents before it comes to council for approval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next, please. Please state your name for the record and set the timer so we can get through this at 1. Yep.
Dr. S.S. Rogers, pastor, teacher of the Greater Mount Sinai Missionary Recruiting Ministries in Las Vegas, Nevada. Also, I'm the president and minister of the Alliance of Southern Nevada. I've been a resident of Clark County 59 years. And for this to be brought to our communities without notification.
What item, sir?
Pardon
What
me?
item are we speaking?
Number 8.
Number 8?
Item number 8, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Item 8. Without any notification, I'm right in that area. My church is located at 1025 Belzer Avenue, which we would like to have a meeting with the developer at 1025 Belzer Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada. We would like to see the plans. We don't know what's all going into this facility. I know it very well. As I say, I've been in Vegas for 59 years. I know the whole concept, but nothing has been presented to the community. No meeting as far as I know of that has been presented to the community or the developer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, please. Name for the record and what agenda item you're speaking on?
Hi, my name's Marie Dishbein Campanella on item 32, I think through 36. I have signatures from our part of the, we live in Curtis Park Manor, so I have 95 signatures from all of the residents. I don't know who I give that to, and I'd like to turn in my cards also opposing it.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Please step forward. Tell me the agenda item and your name, please.
My name is Andre Vitesse. I live at 248 Lexington Street, North Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm referring to item number 8, where they're talking about building a Family Dollar at the corner of MLK and Cary. I feel that at this time that we don't need that particular store in our area. There's 4 within a mile radius. I feel that that property should be developed for something that can serve the community at a much better venue. And I would like to sit down and have this discussion with the developer about other things that we might be able to put in that area.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair? Down here. Mr. Chair, this time is really kind of to make a determination as to whether or not you're going to obey the item. I know that this is coming back to you on February 11th. That'd probably be the better time for everyone to make their comments at the February 11th meeting rather than today, so, unless they can't come back, so.
Good evening, Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Do you, would you like to hold your statement for when it comes back in February at that time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. At this time, anybody else? Please state your name for the record. Is it on item 8 or 32?
First, item 14.
Item 14, I don't think, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, I know.
Hi, my name is Marilyn McCorley. This is actually 30 and 31.
Those will be heard.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I've never
No,
done
you're
something
good.
like this before.
Take a seat. We'll get to them, but they are going to be heard.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion for housekeeping, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on items 8, 11, 12, 49, 50, 51, 52, to hold these items in abeyance till the February 11th, 2020 Plan Commission hearing. I would like to hold, or on items 40, 41, and 42, to withdraw those without prejudice. And on 47, 48, and 32 through 36, I'd like to hold those until the March 10th, 2020 Plan Commission hearing.
You all have heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries. Moving on to one motion, one vote. Item number 7, TMP 77903, applicant Richmond American Homes of Nevada, Inc., owner MF Land LLC, for possible action on a request for a tentative map for a 145-lot, single-family residential subdivision located at the west side of Grand Canyon Drive and West Sky Canyon Park, Ward 6. Related items 9 and 10, item number 9, MOD 77751, applicant owner Howard Hughes Corp. for possible action on a request for a major modification of the approved Summerlin Village 22 development, MDR 73901, to amend the Summerlin land use designation of various parcels within the Village 22 at the southwest corner of Lake Mead Boulevard in Clark County, County 215, Ward 2. Item number 10, TMP 77752, for possible action on a request for a tentative map for a 37-parcel master plan village with deviations of the Summerlin Development Standards, Ward 2. Items number 13, SUP 77833, applicant owner Leonard Christopher, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for an accessory structure Class 1 casita, use at 6880 Gentic Street, Ward 6. On item number 14, SUP 77902, applicant Jeanette Olmeda Soda, owner of Heidemann Nessus Sparks Living Trust, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 1,130 square foot beer and wine cooler on sale establishment use at 1436 East Charleston Boulevard, Ward 3. Item number 15, SUP 77915, applicant Prestige Tattoo and Blade owner Summerlin Plaza Partner LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a tattoo parlor / body piercing studio use at 7581 West Lake Mead Boulevard, Suite 104, Ward 1. Item number 16, SUP 77942, applicant Hypa M. Soto, owner Jose and Ali Jarrar Living Trust, for a possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 1,125 square foot beer and wine cooler on sale establishment use at 2201 South Maryland Parkway, Ward 3. Item number 17, SDR 77829, applicant Washwork Express LLC, owner Panda Inn, Inc., for a possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 4,366 square foot car wash, full service with a waiver to allow the car wash bay to face the right-of-way where such is not allowed on a 1.24 acre at 421 North Nellis Boulevard, Ward 3. And related items 18 and 19, item number 18, VAC 77920, applicant owner the Howard Hughes Corp. for a possible action on a request for a petition to vacate public right-of-way generally located along Carriage Hills Drive between Red Point Drive and Kindle Corner Avenue, Ward 2. And item number 19, VAC 77921, for possible action on a request for a petition to vacate public right-of-way generally located along Desert Foothills Drive between Red Point Drive and Kindle Corner Avenue, Ward 2. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody wish to be heard on the one item, one motion, one vote? Seeing none, I'll close it. Vice Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on the one motion, one vote. Motion for approval on items 7, 9, 10, 13 through 19.
Did you want to speak on 14? Now would be the time.
Mr. Chair, do you want to just vote on the ones that don't have anyone speaking on them and then do number 14 separate?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, let me restate my motion.
Yes, he's going to restate his motion.
So, Mr. Chairman, on the one motion, one vote items, I move to approve items 7, 9, 10, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19.
Okay, you all heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion passes. We'll move on.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, so this evening, item 7 is final action unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 7 days. Items 13, 16, and 17 are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days. Items 9, 10, 15, 18, and 19 will move forward to the city council meeting February 19th, 2020.
Thank you. Ms. Summerfield. Okay, please state your name for the record.
Kim Bryan, Bryan, and my address is 1029 Yucca Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104. Basically, on the liquor store, I got my grandkids, they live down the street from me, and we're just trying to keep it, that would just bring a lot more traffic to the area. We already have 3 liquor stores in the area, and it would just I just think it'd bring a lot more different people, more, I guess, bums, and it would just bring a lot more traffic that we don't need. I'm just trying to keep it a family, keep it a small family community. So,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is the applicant for this agenda item present? Can you please come up and state your name for the record?
My name is Rafat Valentin.
Can you say that slowly and spell the last name for me?
Yeah, Rafat Valentin, R-A-A-F-A-T.
Did you get it? Yeah.
Valentin.
Spell it one more time for her, please.
Yeah, Valentin. Like same Valentine, but without E.
Valentine.
Yeah, I own a store in East Charleston Boulevard, 1452 East Charleston Boulevard, and there is one more store is opening near me. It's for beer and wine. And he have also, I will sell cigarette and tobacco. So this one will affect my business because I'm stuck between 2 stores now, 702 Mart and the new store.
Okay, this is anybody, this is a public hearing. Anybody from the public still wish to be heard on this, right? I see none, so I'll close it, and I'll open it up to the commission. Commissioner Slotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In regards to this one, it's a beer, wine cooler on-sale establishment, so it's served, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be served in conjunction with the mill. It's not off-sale, so they're not purchasing liquor or any of those sorts of things. It's just beer, wine cooler on sale, correct?
Through you, Chair, yes, I believe it is an existing Mexican sushi restaurant, and this will allow them to sell beer and wine with the meals. It is not a liquor store nor any other type of store, so.
Thank you. And seeing as how it is a beer, wine cooler on sale, and it'll be served in conjunction with the meal, it's not a liquor store that's going to be selling to the general public for consumption off-site, I'm fine with this. If there's no other comments, I'd like to make a motion.
Seeing none, please.
Yes, on item 14, SUP 77902, I move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
You've all heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Okay, this portion of the agenda is public hearing items, related items 20 through 22. Item number 20, abeyance VAR 76939.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Can I make a request to pull forward 58 and 59, the director's business, if you don't mind? We do have some city staff here.
Okay.
Thanks.
City, let's come forward, please, state your name for the record. And I'm going to read in, you want to just start with 58? No, no. Yeah, individually. Okay. I'm going to read in item number 58 under Director's Business. It's text 77937, applicant notice, City of Las Vegas for possible action, and a request to amend LVMC Title 1909 and Title 19 Appendix F, and to provide for other related matters. Staff recommends approval. Staff report.
Good evening, Chairman DeSalvio and esteemed commissioners. My name is Michael Howe. I'm the Long Range Planning Section Manager for the City of Las Vegas. And with me, I have Lorenzo Mastino. Go through this rather quickly, but if we have any questions throughout the process, because it is a substantial staff report, but really just a few key tune-ups with this review. So real quickly, the form-based code has been in place for approximately a year, and with that, that includes the Fremont East update that was approved over summer. This is a second text update. This is what we do on the 6-month basis to kind of put in the refinements, the feedback that we get from the development community, the architects, the developers, everyone. Thus far, with the code, our projects, we've had 3 minor site development plan reviews, primarily in the medical district, but we have 3 upcoming projects in the medical district and 3 upcoming projects in the Fremont East district. And with that, we've had the benefit of working closely with the architects, designers, and developers to look at how those proposed projects in a very early stage would meet the code. And in that process, we've had some substantial feedback with some of the I would say light refinements to development standards so that we're still meeting the spirit of the form-based code, but then also making sure that we're not blocking feasible development. With that, I'll hand off to Lorenzo, who has been the planner that's been in touch during those briefings and those meetings, so we can go over in detail what the actual text amendments are. I know that we're trying to say the refinements, but I want everyone to understand that we're hearing from the public and fine-tuning the code so that it stays streamlined with what the expected development is.
Thanks, Mike. Again, this is Lorenzo Mastino with the City of Las Vegas Planning Department, Long Range Division. Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I want to start from where Mike left about the projects that we have been able to preliminary review according to the new code, Title 1909 Form-Based Code, because that's critical to the methodology that we applied when we came up with this fine-tuning and revisions of the code. What you see in the slide is a matrix of different projects that we have been able to evaluate, and for each one of those, we actually took a look at what did not quite fit, depending on different types of standards. You can see there parking calculations or setbacks, specifically parking setbacks, off-site improvements. And we tried to grade each of these projects to see what things were working and what were not working as well. And that is what we started with. Now, the reason why the amendments, the amount of amendments is a little more than a few pages is because all these changes that we were looking at actually go across all the transit zones, so all the zoning districts. So each one of these changes affected 10 of the zones and needed to be repeated over and over in the amendment because of the way we do text amendments. I want to touch base on 4 of the key areas that we are revising with this update. Number 1, we're revising the way we deal with floor-to-floor heights or floor-to-ceiling heights in the code, and also the ground floor finish level requirements for the developments. And we did this based on industry standards and FEMA requirements and for flood that we think with this amendment are going to be better served. The second type of amendments that we're doing is about flexibility in parking design. So we are revising some of the setbacks to allow for smaller setbacks. We're also including temporary parking lots, just in the same fashion that we already have in the downtown area one. using the Appendix F, if you're familiar with that process. And then more flexibility about the required spaces for the developments. The third type of amendment that we're having is a reintroduction of a threshold matrix that you might remember from the Downtown Centennial Plan that is still valid in the Area 1 of the Downtown Las Vegas overlay, but it was missing from the Title 1909 Form-Based Code, and we are reintroducing that for form-based code in order to allow for better coordination for off-site improvements and relocation of utilities. And the fourth and final type of amendment that we're doing is a routine update of the maps of the areas just to reflect the recent rezoning for the Fremont East District, and also some fixes of clerical errors and grammar and misspellings that we found while we were revising the code. With that being said, I want to give a brief update of the expected timeline for the future of the form-based code, Title 1909, and for future revisions. In March 2020, these amendments are going to be presented to City Council for possible adoption. And then between February and June, the long-range team is going to focus on expanding the FBC initiative to focus on the historic West Side District. And the next update is going to come for review and scheduled for around May and June 2020. With that being said, I would like to open it up for questions from you or the public, and thank you.
Thank you, Lorenzo and Mike. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the commissioner. Commissioner Slotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I know y'all guys put a ton of effort into this. I remember meeting with y'all guys back at the historic 5th Street School many of years ago with a team of about 10 people, and it grew, and went to the APA with y'all state level and helped y'all give a presentation. And so this has been a work in progress, and I'm glad we're able to bring the plan forward, and sometimes we got to bring the plans forward and try them out and not be scared to try them out. And then when we see things that need to be adapted, we just need to keep a record of that. And it sounds like that's what planning staff has done. So, and that's all we could ask for from the development community is to have planners that understand that. So thank you for everything that y'all have done, and let's keep pushing these plans forward and making the amendments, because y'all made a lot of amendments here that was necessary, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slotman. Commissioner Cherry.
Through the chair, yeah, I was lucky enough to sit with these gentlemen and go through like a pre-app meeting and really work through and see some of the problems, but I can see how the form-based code is really going to help these districts and kind of streamline projects and make sure that projects are consistent with the neighborhood, you know, where before we're going through public hearing and you can propose the 780-foot high-rise, which really might not be consistent with the neighborhood. And so I appreciate the guys kind of sitting down, listening to the development community, listening to the neighbors, and making the changes. And I'm sure there's going to be more changes in the future as more projects come online, and as we move into the other districts with the Arts District, and I think is Founders one of the form-based code? Founders is one of them. I think this thing will be perfected to where it'll be really streamlined, and we'll start to see more projects kind of in motion. So this is something I'll definitely be supporting tonight.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, on item number 58, TXT 77937, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to the City Council in ordinance form.
Thank you, Mr. Summerfield. Moving on to Director's Business, item number 59, text 78081, applicant notice City of Las Vegas for possible action on a request to amend the minimum special use permit requirements for a beer and wine cooler off-sale establishment and a beer and wine cooler on and off-sale establishment use in LVMC Title 19.12, permissible use, and to provide for other related matters. Staff has no recommendation. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed amendment would allow a waiver of the required distance separation from protected uses for retail establishments having at least 15,000 square feet of building area under specific circumstances for the beer wine cooler off-sale establishment and the beer wine cooler on and off-sale establishment uses where Title 19 currently requires at least 20,000 square feet of building area. Staff has no recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing, and anybody from the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn it over to the commission. Commissioner Slotman,
Ready for a motion?
please.
Mr. Chair, on item 59, TXT 78081, move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
And Mr.
Talk about efficiency. Okay. On the public hearing items, item number 20 through 22 are related. Item number 20, abeyance VAR 76939, applicant owner Land Capital Partners LLC for a possible action on a request for a variance to allow 23 parking spaces where 29 parking spaces are required at the southwest corner of Charleston Boulevard and Hillside Place, Ward 3. Item number 21, abeyance number VAR 76940 for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 90-foot residential adjacency setback for the south property line where 138 feet is required, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. And item number 22, abeyance SDR 76941 for a possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 5,031 square foot commercial shell building with waivers of the perimeter landscape buffer standards, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. And can I please have the staff report?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed development is in close proximity to the Founders District and supports the goals of the Founders District and the Vision 2045 Downtown Las Vegas Master Plan. But because it is not part of the district, it is subject to the development standards set forth by Title 1908. The applicant has proposed to overdevelop the subject site as evidenced by the requested variances and waivers. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the site development plan review and all associated applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Brian
Spell your
Nagel.
last name.
Brian Nagel, Nagle, Green Tyndall Architecture Group, 3047 East Warm Springs, Las Vegas 89120. First, I'd like to thank everybody for allowing our previous extension. That gave us enough time to meet up with staff and address their concerns, to which we added additional trees and landscaping around the outside, which also it curved them towards the other ones as well. As far as the residential setback, we're actually farther away from adjacent structures, and we're not as large either in square footage. With the third variance of the parking space requirements, we're intending to be a very light medical office facility, and it's all appointment-based, so I don't see a huge need for it at that location. And we're not really dropping it as much as it seems. It's only 6 parking spots for the area. As far as meeting with staff, I believe we have accomplished what we went there to do, and they seemed pretty happy with what we did. And I'd like to open up with any questions or anything you guys might have.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, turn it over to Commission. Commissioner Slotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you. I remember seeing this a long time ago, and it kept hitting our agenda over and over and over, and kept reading it. And I think you made the changes, and if you actually look at the site plan, you have plenty of trees along the east side of your property, along Charleston. It's going to be one of the most beautiful properties up and down that little stretch of Charleston. And with the new Nevada Legal Aid building and this building and a few others that we approved in this neighborhood, I think it fits. I think we need it, and I hope you can encourage your clients to build it quicker. So with that being said, I'm ready to make a motion.
See no one else, please do.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 20, VAR 76939, move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
You've heard the motion, please cast your vote. And I can't get to mine. I voted? Yeah, it's a yay. And that motion carries. It's not showing them. Okay.
I'd like to thank everybody. And
One second.
Well, great time.
On item 21, VAR 76940, move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
Heard the motion, please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, on item 22, SDR 76941, move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
Heard the motion, cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Thank you. Related items number 23 through 28, abeyance ZON 77758, applicant KB Homes, owning United States of America, for possible action on request for a rezoning from undeveloped to Town Center General Plan designation to TC Town Center at the southwest corner of Grand Teton and TP Lane, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Number 24, abeyance item MOD 77759 for possible action on a request for a major modification of the Town Center Land Use Plan to amend the special land use designation from PFTC, Public Facilities Town Center, to MLTC, Medium Low Density Residential Town Center, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 25, abeyance SUP 7761 for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed gated community with private streets with a waiver to allow one gate entrance where two entrances are required. Ward 6, staff recommends a denial. Under item number 26, abeyance VAC 77763 for a possible action on a request for a petition to vacate City of Las Vegas right-of-way sewer drainage construction and trail easement on the southwest corner of Grand Teton and TP Lane, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 27, abeyance SDR 77762 for the possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 73-lot single-family residential development with a waiver of the Town Center streetscape, wall height, and single-family residential development standards, Ward 6. Staff recommends denial. Item number 28, abeyance TMP 77764 for possible action on a request for a tentative map for a proposed 73-lot single-family residential subdivision with a waiver to allow private substreets that exceed 1 per 660 feet, Ward 6. Staff recommends denial. And may I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff supports the proposed rezoning and major modification as they conform to the existing Town Center General Plan designation and would be harmonious and compatible with existing development in the area. Staff has no objection to the vacation request. However, due to the requested waivers, staff has determined that the proposed development is not compatible with surrounding development. Staff therefore recommends approval of the rezoning, major modification, and vacation request, but denial of the special use permit, site development plan review, and tentative map. Please note, updated plans, maps, justification letter, and staff report can be found in your supplemental information package. Revised plans submitted on January 13th, 2020 depict the following changes. Overall lots were reduced from 73 lots to 72 lots. The proposed tentative map has been reordered with proposed stub streets to terminate on the eastern perimeter of the subject site instead of the western perimeter to provide drainage and access to the 10-foot drainage easements to the east of this parcel. The 10-foot area is proposed to be used as a trail connection, eliminating an unusable dead space between developments as previously proposed. Open space has been reduced from 12.4% to 11.9%, and a revised perimeter wall details provided for the eastern perimeter of the site, which depicts a 6-foot retaining wall with 6-foot CMU block wall adjacent to the 10-foot drainage easement. The drainage easement includes a 4-foot sidewalk for pedestrian access. Also note that there are additional letters of protest and support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Mark Bangan with KB Home. I would just like to state for the record that we appreciate working with Plan Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem, with staff on this project. I think it's a great project. I think the all the insight that we've received from the city has been very beneficial for this site. I think it takes care of all the issues that were raised in the beginning. So I'm just here to answer any questions that you have, and we agree with staff's conditions.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on these items? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the commission. Any other commissioner have? Okay, well, then I'll take the lead on this one, seeing it's my area. Yes, we worked diligently with Mark, Mayor Pro Tem's office, and myself to make sure that the dead space that they're referring to, the 10-foot easement, didn't turn into a camp of some sort. So we made it a point, we flipped the drawings to make it more harmonious and compatible for the community, to where it won't have anybody hidden behind any walls or anything like that. So making the changes and stepping up and listening to us and obeying it and then bringing it back is greatly appreciated. And we like to keep the community happy. We don't like to have alleyways. But if there's any other concerns or questions, if not, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 23, ZON 77758. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries. Motion to approve item number 24, MOD 77759. And that motion carries. Motion to approve item number 25, abeyance SUP 77761. And that motion carries. Item number 26, abeyance VAC 77763. Motion to approve. Commissioner Williams? And that motion carries. Item number 27, abeyance SDR 77762. Motion to approve. And that motion carries. And finally, abeyance item number 28, TMP 77764. Motion to approve. Commissioner Williams? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening, and congratulations, Mr. DeSalvo, on your appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Moving on to item number 29, abeyance VAR 77766, applicant owner Richmond Foster, for possible action on a request for a variance to allow an existing 7-foot-tall solid block wall in the front yard where 5 feet with 2 feet solid is allowed at 1916 West Oakley Road, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, this application is a result of code enforcement. A building permit was finalized in May 2018 for a block wall. However, the applicant continued to build the wall beyond what was permitted. A code enforcement case was opened in July 2019 for the front wall being built taller than allowed by Title 19 and without permits. The applicant has provided no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance to support the requested variance. Staff therefore recommends denial of the request. Please note that there is an additional letter of protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record, sir, and spell your last name.
Richard Anthony Foster. Last name is Foster. 1916 West Oakey Boulevard, 89102.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was a little curious to hear your report, though, saying that we had sought a permit for it. This was an originally existing wall that was very low, and we had a lot of trouble with break-in within the first 2 weeks we moved into the home, and wanted to shore up the front of the building and front of the property and make it more safe. And so we had contracted with someone to do that for us. And at that time, I was in the midst of selling the home to California and shutting it down and closing, selling the business there. So the person I contracted with here was supposed to take care of whatever needed to be done to satisfy the city and build a wall, which apparently he did not do, and I didn't learn about that until last year. Putting up the wall to be a higher height whatever the height is there, did cut down on some of the problems that we were having, but we still had kind of an endless stream of people coming onto our property. Oki is pretty well traveled by vagrants and drug addicts, and our next door neighbor had a break-in right after that as well, and the police had to come and remove a knife-wielding addict from their home. We started a remodeling project for which we did go to the city to get permits, and the contractor said, you know, it's a constant people on your property. You know, you can add 2 courses to your wall without having any city involvement, and if you'd like, we would do that for you. And I said, okay, sure, that sounds great, because we wanted to also, on an aesthetic front, bring the wall up to the same height as the wall on our west and east side neighbors, because both of their walls were higher than our wall. So he did that. In the midst of doing that, someone complained, and zoning or code enforcement person came and let us know that, you know, that's not true. You can't put 2 courses on. And so they said, you know, you could run down and try to get a permit and have someone come out after, now that it's been done, and inspect and see the wall and decide whether to approve it or not. And so when I did that, that's when the city said, well, there's actually no permit for the previous increase in height that occurred in the wall, which that's the first time I had learned about that, because, as I say, I had contracted with someone to do all that. So that's when the city said, well, then the whole wall is a problem, because, you know, its height is greater than the 5 feet that it's supposed to be. So, well, anyway, that's kind of how things unfolded. And, but one of the, you know, so one of the things that we wanted to do was increase the security and the safety of our property, and the other was on the aesthetic front, because that area of Scotch 80s, some homes which abut Oki are backyard lines, and some are side yard lines, and some are front yard lines, and they all have different requirements and code regulations to them. So there's been kind of a hodgepodge look to the walls in that section of Oki. So we felt that we were kind of getting 2 birds with 1 stone by increasing the safety and the security of our property. And now that whole stretch is, everyone's on a similar level in the height of the wall. So that's what we were looking to achieve there.
Okay, thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the hearing wish to be heard on this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Knutson.
Rogan. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did meet with the applicant regarding this, and he's absolutely correct. I drive down that stretch of Oki on a daily basis, and over the years, the city has vacated some of the streets that used to run north and south through the Scotch 80s, which has allowed some of the property owners to turn what was a front yard home facing Oki into the backyard. And so suddenly they have 8-foot high or 7-foot high walls next to a front yard that has 2-foot high walls, next to a side yard that has 5-foot high walls. And it looked terrible. Unfortunately, over the past few years, several of those property owners have taken it upon themselves to increase the wall height without obtaining variances. And thanks to this applicant, I don't think you're going to be the most popular guy on the street, because now there's 4 code enforcement violations that are going out this week for.
And that's why I accidentally said I live on Oakley, so they wouldn't know.
So there's 4 property owners that are going to be receiving similar citations in the next week or so, and most likely they'll be coming before us in the next few months. That being said, this body and the city council actually did approve a 7-foot high wall just 3 homes down from this gentleman last year in 2018. Given the same reasons that were presented there were that the various wall heights made the entire street look disreputable. I think that given that we've already done that for that home, I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't do it for Mr. Foster. So unless there's other comment, my motion today would be in support of this variance.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Commissioner Rogan. The only thing that I would ask is on condition number 2, all necessary building permits shall be obtained and final inspections shall be completed in compliance with Title 19 and all codes as required by the Department of Building Safety. I'd like to put a comma within X number of days.
And to that point, I have already gone through with the building people to address what deficiencies there might be with the wall, and I already have a plan drawn up from an architect and a planner to, address those issues. And
Okay, I think you could probably get this finished in 60 days, but I would lean on 90 days, just in case if the Building and Safety Department requires them to do any kind of GPRN or checking the steel within that wall, which is going to take special equipment.
we had that done already.
Okay, 60 days it is.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, so when we add these types of conditions or qualifiers on conditions, we would just ask that you specify it from issuance of permit, because the permitting review process can take a little while. He'll lose 10 days already because of the appeals period on this application tonight. So I would just ask, if you want to set a time limit, that you do it as X days from issuance of permit.
Okay, and I like that. However, what if he just never turns in his plan, so he'll never get issued that permit?
So as the applicant's already indicated, he has a permit currently in process that's been denied by planning pending the result of a variance. I think he does have some updated plans he'll need to do. So this applicant is actually doing the due diligence of moving this through, so I don't necessarily have that concern. However, with this variance, if he does not act, then code enforcement will be out to say, okay, you've got your variance, you need to have your permits. If you don't have your permits in, then we are going to need to continue the code enforcement action, because the variance in and of itself does not grant the permission. You have to then activate that variance by getting the actual permits.
Thank you.
Doing the
Well,
work.
Mr. Chairman, I would then suggest that then it would be 60 days from the issuance of permit, but I'll leave that up to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chair Schlotman. I'd make a motion then to approve VAR 77766, subject to staff's condition, with the amendment proposed by Commissioner Schlotman on item 2, or condition 2, rather.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
And Mr. Vice Chair, if I can, I want to make sure that for the record we have that clear. So that was a 60 days from issuance of building permit, correct? Okay. And that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days. So what that means is in 10 days, provided no one has appealed this matter, you can move forward with your building permit application.
Thank you. Moving on to related items number 30 and 31. Item number 30, GPA 77475, applicant owner, Eage Granberry, 5-6, for possible all right. For possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from medium-density residential to medium-low density at 1975 Simmons Street, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Item number 31, ZON 77476, for a possible action on a request for rezoning from R3 medium-density residential to RCL single-family compact lot, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, amending the general plan designation and rezoning the subject site would allow the site to be remapped into 2 separate parcels, each containing a single-family residence. This would allow each residence to be sold, thus supporting increased home ownership within West Las Vegas, a goal of the West Las Vegas plan. However, the requested general plan amendment and rezoning would create a situation commonly known as spot zoning, with 1 single-family residential lot surrounded primarily by multi-family zoning. Staff therefore recommends denial of both applications. Please note that there are additional letters of protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
William Schloff, 9720 Craighead Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada, with Signature Real Estate Group here, representing and helping Raleigh Granberry with his goal to do this subdivision on this lot. Chairperson Del Savio and staff, thank you so much for getting us this far in the process and hearing us tonight. We're most certainly trying to help the neighborhood and improve home values, and also create more entry-level type properties in the area for first-time home buyers to come in and be able to get a property in that area. And I do understand staff's issue with the spot zoning, and I'd like to just, briefly address that. I don't think, do we have?
Yeah, I think so,
Okay.
correct.
So we do have some RCL, some other RCL very, very close to the property, and we felt that by going SFR here as opposed to a duplex, that it would improve the neighborhood overall presence, again, give somebody more of an entry-level type property to come into, and improve that corridor along Simmons. We do understand that there's multi-unit directly across the street and just behind us to the southwest, but there is also a lot of RCL in the area already currently with that type of very, very similar density. And it does give, the opportunity for Raleigh to, do better with his investment there, help the neighborhood. The two lots to the north of it have not been developed yet. That would also give incentive for builders to come in and do 4 single-family residentials if they were able to come in front of the board and go through the proper process to do so, and maybe get those other 2 lots built out, which are currently sitting vacant. And it is a down zoning, so it's not like we're trying to reach for the sky. He just really is trying to get a simple, logical thing done here, and I wanted to support him through the process without him having to go get with Kemper and Crowell and spend so much money to try to get this home. We do understand staff's concerns, but we do feel that there's enough RCL in the area to support this move, and we do feel that it will give opportunity to at least a couple entry-level first-time home buyers to come into the area and be able to get something and be able to start a family and have a great spot. It's an amazing location with regards to being central in the valley and be able to get to the Strip corridor and help the city. We do have another plot map, but it was already illustrated on that first screen, so I don't want to waste your time with that. And I just want to thank you for your time in hearing us and appreciate any input that the staff gave us, and know that we're just trying to do a good thing, help a guy and also help a neighborhood.
Thank you. Raleigh, you have anything you'd like to say? Now that we're friends?
No, I definitely think he said everything in regards. As we recall, the overall goal of the West Las Vegas plan is to improve the opportunity for people to have home ownership, as well as increase the value of the area. We're only doing this for the small section right here, and I hope to actually be able to purchase the land next to it and do the same thing moving forward, which will, again, extend to the neighborhood. Given the opportunity, I want to reinvest in the community, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on these items? Please come forward and state your name for the record and spell your last name.
My name is William O'Neill McCurdy. Live at 1117 Hart Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to support this project because of the fact in West Las Vegas we need a lot of single-family housing. We need more rooftops in our community to become an economical surviving community. Without rooftops, we're not going to be able to do many businesses in our community. As you know, I have been a resident of the city of Las Vegas since 1952. I serve on a lot of boards, Habitat for Humanity of Las Vegas, and I'm also your park commissioner, and I'm very instrumental in trying to revitalize West Las Vegas. I have to take my hat off to applaud this young man for wanting to invest, because I have been trying to encourage people to invest in our community. And please don't deny us the opportunity to revitalize West Las Vegas and historical West Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. McCurdy. Anybody else wish to be heard? Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
It's Marilee McCorley. It's spelled MCC O-R-L-E-Y. I live directly across the street from his property at 1950 North Simmons in Sienna Townhomes, and I am in full support of that. Me and a lot of families that live here, we're looking for opportunities, you know, as coming in as first-time home buyers. So just like this gentleman said, I had an opportunity to speak to him just a few minutes ago. I've been texting my friends and neighbors that live in the community who just did not have an opportunity to come out here and speak. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like just an amazing opportunity. We want this. I would support this, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Applicants, can you please come back up if you have any further comments before I turn it over to the commission?
Just one quick comment. Another thing I forgot to mention is when Raleigh first approached me about this, the site actually sets up so perfectly for what we're trying to do. The duplex, I don't know if you guys saw it's actually separated, meets all the setbacks for the zoning category, and we greatly appreciate your help.
Thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Cherry.
Through the chair, I'll just quickly say that, you know, when we're in areas that are redevelopment or revitalization, that we're going to have issues like this where the zoning might not be consistent, but the positives far outweigh that issue and concern. So I will be supporting this application tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Cherry. Anybody else? Commissioner Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In reference to this particular item, I would like to just share that typically while we don't support, you know, spot zoning, when you look at this type of project, again, we've heard historic West Side Plan and how it encourages home ownership as well as being in alignment with the Home Investment Partnership Program. I too am going to support this project, so unless we have comments from other commissioners, I'd like to make a motion.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion, item GPA 77475, motion to approve.
I'm a yea vote. And that motion carries.
Thank you. Also, item ZON 77476, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Commissioner, staff, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Good luck. Related items number 37 through 39. Item number 37, GPA 77917. Applicant owner is Moses Carpio for possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from office to general commercial at 1208 Southeastern Avenue, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Item number 38, ZON 77919, for possible action on a request for rezoning from professional office and parking to limited commercial C1, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. And item number 39, VAR 78113, for the possible action on a request for a variance to allow 64-foot lot width where 100 foot is required, and a 3-foot side yard setback, and a 5-foot corner side setback where 10 feet is required, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed commercial general plan amendment and rezoning to be incompatible in a neighborhood that is almost entirely single-family residences and offices. Staff therefore recommends denial of all applications. Please note that there are additional letters of support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, Bradley Mayer, 6037 South Fort Apache Road, Suite 130, representing the applicant. I have Mo Carpio with me today up here, who is the business owner and the property owner. We brought this application forth because Mr. Carpio operates a HVAC repair business, and as part of that business, you know, he had purchased this property and is looking to the general gist is that sometimes he will have cars parked overnight on property because during the new employee's probationary period, they have, you know, 90 days, until they can take their truck home with them. And so there are going to be certain times where there's cars parked overnight, and the current PR zoning doesn't allow for any of that whatsoever. You know, as you can see from here, this is the subject site. You know, everything is generally PR zoning around. You know, these are all, you know, R1 zoning. Mr. Carpio has spoken with the neighbors around there, and they have generally been very supportive of this project, of something going in, because this building was vacant for, how long, 6 years? This building was vacant for quite a long period of time. You know, this has been a very challenging corridor for the city, I know, you know, to kind of attract things in there. And so, of course, he has now purchased a building, he's cleaning it up, you know, adding fencing, you know, cameras and things of that nature. And so the residents nearby there very, you know, appreciative of that. And so this is a picture right here of the type of trucks. You know, there could be periods of time where there's 2 trucks there, or there could be periods of time where there's none there. And so, you know, we approached the city with our problem, and, you know, it kind of kicked around a couple different ideas on how maybe to address this. And, you know, we had kind of came up with the idea of, you know, potentially rezoning this. And I know that there's some thought that maybe, you know, and again, staff can kind of speak to this, but there's some thought that, you know, the PR zoning, you know, could be going away one day, eventually, that this corridor might look somewhat different. And so, you know, that this, you know, could be something that's potentially catalyst to that. But again, in terms of the use that will be in the site, will be for the HVAC repair business. And I don't know if you want to talk about the neighbors that you had spoke with, what they had to say about the project, and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Moises, last name Carpio, C-A-R-P-I-O. And yeah, me and my daughter went around the houses, a single family, speak to the people what they thought about it. One of the biggest issues was that, you know, people are still tagging and writing because it's vacant. The second issue is that people trespass. A couple weeks ago, Metro was really good moving the people out of the way, and that's a continued problem since it's been vacant for a long time. So a lot of people know that nobody's going to go and check it. So we didn't have any door that said no. Everybody's in favor. So, you know, Chairman, I hope you grant us this. Thank you.
And I think we're, you know, here to answer questions that you might have. I'm sure there's a few.
Okay, this is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on these agenda items? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and hand it over to Commissioner Schlotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you. You know, I've thought about this project quite a bit, and I spoke to Bradley Mayer about this. That one of the issues is all the professional office uses up and down that little corridor on Eastern. It's had some like trouble in history for longer than I've been up here on the Planning Commission, with sign spam and with the, you know, illegal signs going up, all sorts of stuff, flashing lights, and that doesn't meet our code. I know that doesn't really pertain to what you're doing here, but we would be introducing a new element if we go to C1. And one of the things that I'm concerned with is if we go to C1 zoning, there's a lot of other uses that could happen conditionally as a C1 that's not allowed as a professional office. I do see something happening on that corridor. I do support something happening on that corridor, and, you know, study and staff and all of us getting together and figuring out what we want to do on that portion of Eastern. But I think there needs to be some kind of development guidelines before we start putting work trucks and other things into that neighborhood. I think that is a little bit of a self-imposed hardship, because if you didn't have the work trucks, then you wouldn't need the C1 zoning. You could perform your business there just as a dispatch. But it's when you go through that probationary period with the new employees for the first 90 days, whatever that is, they have to park their trucks there. And that's where the rub lies. There's other properties up and down this corridor that's come before us in the past, and historically I've always been against converting them to C1. The neighborhood directly behind you is residential, and I just don't feel that you'll be able to get that buffer with the block wall, the trees, everything else, with what you're doing, maybe with what you're doing, but you can turn around and sell that property tomorrow, or somebody else can come in tomorrow and do something. So I encourage you to keep pushing forward, work with staff. I don't want to hold this in advance because I don't want to slow you down, but work with your consultant. He's a smart guy. Work with planning staff, work with the council person. This has to go to city council because it's a GPA, and see what y'all can come up with. If there was a special use permit where it restricted it to certain things, I could get behind it. We can't put all those conditions on a rezone. So for those reasons, I couldn't support it. Not that I'm not in support of your business, because I am. I just can't support this due to those reasons. So.
Would you, seeing nobody else, would you,
No, sorry.
if you'd like to entertain a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on item 37, GPA 77917, I move to deny.
You heard the motion. Yes vote is for denial. And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Two more.
Mr. Chairman, on item 38, ZON 77919, I would move for denial.
You heard the motion. A yes vote is for denial. And that motion passes.
And
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on item 39, VAR 78113, move to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
You've heard the motion. A yes vote is for denial. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Thanks so much.
Related items number 43 through 46. Item number 43, VAR 77907, applicant owner SKUSA LLC for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 10-foot yard setback where 20 foot is required and a 4-foot corner side yard setback where 5 feet is required on the north side of Bonanza Road and East Decatur Boulevard, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Item number 44, VAR 77908, for the possible action on a request for a variance to allow 25-foot wide private streets where 47 foot is the minimum allowed, to allow 47-foot wide access control gates where 50 foot is required, to allow sidewalks on the south where, on the one side where sidewalks on both sides are required, and to allow a connectivity ratio of 1.25 where 1.30 is required. Ward 5, staff recommends denial. Item number 45, SDR 77909, for the possible action and request for a site development plan review for a proposed 9-unit duplex and single-family residential development. Ward 5, staff recommends denial. And item number 46, TMP 77910, for the possible action on a request for a tentative map for a one-lot condominium subdivision. Ward 5, staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, although the subject site is a flag-shaped lot, staff finds that the subject site provides an adequate buildable area which would allow compliance with Title 19 development standards. As the proposed development is inconsistent with Title 19 development standards pertaining to building setbacks and complete street development standards, staff recommends denial of the 2 variances, site development plan review, and associated tentative map request. Please note that additional letters of protest have been submitted since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
Thank you. John Hamilton, representing the applicant. 3945 Pebble Creek Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89147. This project has a long history, and I visited this planning commission on a former site plan that was denied, and this was the former site plan. And this site plan entailed 9 buildings, 18 units, and it had 20-foot setbacks in the front, the rear yard, so on and so forth. It received a lot of pushback from the community, and since that time, we have worked with the with the neighbors, as well as Councilman Creer, and we have met personally with Councilman Creer a few times, and we do have his support tentatively for our new site layout, which removes the 18 dwelling units. And prior, I just want to make point that in our prior submittal to this commission, we were proposing 3-story units where 2 were only allowed. We had done that because we felt that keeping restriction to the 35-foot height, that we would have been okay. Again, even the 2-story and 3-story received a lot of pushback. So even then when we visited the 2-story, complying with the code, that received pushback, and we have finally just gone down to single story is what we're doing. And not only have we reduced it down to single story, but we have really worked closely with our neighbors, because we own this land, they are our neighbors, and we want to be good neighbors here. So what we've done is that we've now gone down from 18 units down to 9, and not only have we done that, but we have centered the buildings to the property instead of around the perimeter. Doing so keeps more distance than before from the adjacent neighbors. And we did have a neighborhood meeting. We've had a number of neighborhood meetings on this project, which is evidenced by, this is just only 3 sign-in sheets that I've been able to locate, but we've had more than just these 3. And there's been a lot of response even since June 2019. And in our last one, even that we had as recent as December 5, we only had 2 attendees from the neighborhood, but we did incorporate all of the concerns that we believe that the community did express, as well as Councilman Creer, and we look to have your support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody wish to be heard, please come forward, state your name for the record, and spell your last name, please. I'll put 1 minute on the clock.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, I appreciate the
State your name, please, sir, and spell your last name. State your name and spell your last name.
My name is John Napoleon. I live at 4417 St. Andrews Circle, which is just adjacent to the subject property. Yes, we have had a lot of meetings. Some of them were less friendly than others, but for now, it looks like the changes that were made were much more amicable to me and my family. The only questions I have today is, if we had a 47-foot wide minimum requirement for the driveway, and we cut that in half, there must have been some very reasonable original thinking that set that. And, I'm just a house painter, so because I'm not an engineer and an architect, I really don't understand why we need variances if it's unnecessary to change something. I bought my home in that area and expected to have a similar neighborhood. With these changes, it doesn't happen, but I would like to have the opportunity to sit and look at all and discuss the plans. Yesterday was the first time I saw the announcement cards for today's meeting. I didn't see the December 5th invitation. If it was sent to me, I didn't get it, but I want to participate. I want to be helpful. I also don't want the investors to have to lose their pants. I just want to say, for my neighborhood, I'd like for all of us to stay within the rules.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard on this agenda item? Seeing none, sir, would you like to? Oh.
What? You want to talk? Here comes the boss.
Okay.
There.
If you would, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate
I need your
all
name.
of the work
Ma'am?
and the thinking
Ma'am?
that you guys are putting into these communities. It matters.
I need your name.
I am Lolly Napoleon,
Thank you.
56-year-old wife of my husband that just spoke. Anyhow, we have been dealing with this issue for about 3 years when Ricky Barlow and Apricot Fingers first proposed this. We have been here so many times, I feel like we should be punching a time clock on this. It was by Carolyn Goodman. It was put down with prejudice to install 18 units. At first, it was going to be 3 stories. A lot of rage from all of us. It would invade our privacy. Well, our grandkids are swimming, and then somebody's snapping pictures and putting it on Facebook. Well, our little Hawaiian kids are swimming butt naked. Then they went down to 2 stories, and we felt like the whole back of our house that we've lived in for 12 years is all glass. You can see everything. And we just thought, that's still an invasion of privacy. The developer and the owner are very nice people and cooperative. We have never met Creer. Not once. He has been absent from all of our meetings that have been called. We have not received the invitations to some of these meetings, like on December 5th. We find that surprising. Our main concern, let me put my glasses on, part of being old, is suddenly you have 18 units next to you in a church parking lot. It's the LDS church, and it's a long, narrow driveway, and the parking lot and all of this, the density is insane. It's right across of the high school. We have the intermediate school, the elementary school, the high school. We have all of these things going on, a lot of density. 18 more units going down. We've asked, if there is a fire, what happens down this driveway? The answer was literally verbatim, we have sprinkles. And I am thinking, we just went through the Alpine fires. We do not need sprinkles. We do not need to do this to this 56-year-old neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you.
These children are great.
Wrap it up, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment.
Mahalo for your
Thank you very
time.
much. Appreciate it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, trust me. All right, can I have the applicant please come forward?
Yes.
You have any rebuttal you wish?
Yes, to just reiterate, we are only providing 9 units, and we are doing single-story, and we are no longer adjacent to the perimeter of the property lines, hence the need for these waivers, because we've centered our units accordingly.
Thank you. Prior to turning it over to Commission, I do have a comment. I do appreciate the new drawing. I like the idea that the road acts as a buffer, so it is not affecting the Napoleons and their kids swimming, butt naked, as she put it. I appreciate the work that went into the neighborhood meetings. I do remember this long driveway. It is an unfortunate piece of property, but dropping it down to single-story, going from three-story to then two-story to single-story, shows the due diligence that you are trying to work to the community, at least as far as I'm concerned, and that's why I would be supporting this item tonight.
Thank you.
But I will turn it over now to Commissioner Cherry.
Through the chair, I'll just echo the same thing. This application's come a long way. This site has from when we first saw it a couple times now, so I also will be supporting it.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, when you look at where the project started and where it's come today, there's been a significant amount of effort put in by the applicant to appease and meet specific requirements of the neighbors, and that's really what we're looking for, right? When we come in and we say, go back and have these neighborhood meetings, we're looking to get feedback, be able to work with that feedback and pull together something that's really going to work for everyone. So at this time, I'm ready to make a motion on the project.
Please do, Commissioner Williams.
I'd like to make a motion on item VAR 77907 for approval.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion on item VAR 77908 for approval.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion for item SDR 77909 for approval.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
And I'd like to make a motion for item TMP 77910 for approval.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, that item is going to move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 53, VAR 77905, applicant Rad Management LLC, owner DSRS Properties LLC, for the possible action on a request for a variance to allow a lot size of 1,000 square feet where 18,000 square feet is required, and a lot width of 10 feet where 100 feet is required at 835 Shetland Road, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, per the submitted justification letter, the future goal of this proposal is to add the 1,000 square foot parcel to the adjacent medical office development to the south. This would allow for additional parking spaces to be added to the existing medical office use on the subject lot. The proposed future alignment of the subject site fails to meet goal number 1 of the Rancho Charleston land use study, which states, protect the existing residential neighborhoods from any additional encroachment by commercial and/or office uses. Staff recommends denial of the requested entitlement as it does not meet the minimum Title 19 development standards and does not align with the goals of the Charleston or the Rancho Charleston land use study area. Please note that additional letters of support and protests have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name. Thank you.
Sure. My name is Russell Shaw, and I'm the owner of the medical building, 2628 West Charleston, 2622 West Charleston, and I also am the owner of the house at 835 North Shetland. So I've been a practicing physician in the area, and for about 14 years in that building, and there is an inherent, it's about 10,500 square feet of medical space, and there's a bit of a decreased supply of parking in the area. The property at 835 Shetland came up for sale about 14 months ago, and my proposal is that the residential 835 Shetland Avenue, a very small amount of land located, it's an irregular lot, is about 10 half parking spots, or 8 half parking spots, is to give high yield parking for when the patients go around the circle. So right now we have about 28 parking spots, and it's going to go up to 36. Originally, about 7 months ago, we had another proposal, but I met a lot of resistance from my neighbors, and I certainly understand the resistance. So this is not like the last one. This is just making it more uniform. There's a long history with this particular lot. I found out maybe 4 years ago that the previous neurologist back in 1980 who owned this house actually wanted, apparently there were some drawings, but it never got approved. He lived in the house, but long story short, it's actually just to help patients park, and it does not change the Shetland Avenue. I still own the house, of course, at 835, and it has 110 feet, and it's taken away 10 feet, so it still has the 100-foot frontage on Shetland Avenue. And if you look at it's just making a straight wall. It's an irregular design. The 2622 West Charleston goes back 10 feet, while the 2628 is not the 10 feet. So it's more making it a straight line. And so you really have to kind of see it to understand it. But basically, and then what we're doing also is we're doing a renovation of the property. So we're changing the whole parking so that people come in onto the entrance off Shetland, but they go one direction and they have to fill up all the spots. So, so this way we get, everybody has to park before they go if there's any excess parking onto Shetland. So I think this would be helpful. And also the 8 parking spots would be with lighting and handicap design. So because Shetland is a historical, beautiful street, and it doesn't have sidewalks and lighting, so it maintains the frontage, and the house is not going to change. Everything looks the same. I did have 2 meetings. They were hastily done back in December, during Christmas time and holidays. So, but no one showed up to them. I did get one phone call from one of the neighbors. He's around 808 Shetland, Kevin Buckley. He's been a resident for a long time, and I just explained what I was doing, and but he didn't say anything. And then I did get a letter from my neighbor who's directly affected, but he's actually here today, I think. He's actually, so he'll address the planning, so.
All right, thank you. Does that conclude? Okay. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody wish to be heard on this agenda item, please step forward. State your name for the record and spell your last name.
Evening. My name is Chris. Last name Andrusfay, Andrasfay. I live at 825 Shetland, immediately adjacent to 835 Shetland. And looking at this proposal, I have no objection. It provides more spots for the business that's there, and it keeps the residents as residents. It should have very little, if no effect on property values. And yeah, nobody likes to see, commercial moving into residential. This is a situation that's very unique in the sense that that lot is a zigzag, and this addition moving that acreage into the commercial makes it straight. It's simple, it's clean. I have no objection to it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to be heard on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn it over to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, hold on, let me.
Yes, sir.
Can I just say one comment before you go, Commissioner Rogan? I was recently at the State Bar Building, I believe it was, on Charleston, and there's a Quest Diagnostics there, so I went for blood work. And they were having their annual meeting there, so it took up every stall in that parking lot. And I had to park down the street about 4 houses in, and I thought about this application because we saw it previously, and I thought, I'm parking right in front of this guy's house now instead of being able to park in front of that parking lot. I just thought food for thought as you consider it, as the application, because it was interesting to go through that scenario. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Cherry? Commissioner Rogan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Cherry, for that comment. Thank you, Dr. Shaw. I have no problem with this application at all. When I first saw this item, I thought, what is this person trying to do? Is this related to a short-term rental? I got numerous phone calls and messages regarding this because the notification that went out was pretty scary to some people. But then when you actually look at what it is that you're trying to do, you're just trying to square off the boundary. And I completely understand and I completely support it. And I thank you for not extending your commercial property into that area because the neighbors there are very active and they're very protective, as we know from the application that we had several months ago for an Alzheimer's care facility that's directly across the street. Unless there's any other comments, I would like to make a motion.
Please do.
All right. I'd make a motion for item 53 VAR 77905 to move for approval subject to staff's conditions.
You heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion passes.
And Mr. Chairman, that item is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days. So provided no appeal, you can begin the next phase, which is to begin your mapping action after 10 days.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 54, VAR 77932, applicant Kent Scrow, owner Scrow Clark Revocable Living Trust and Scrow Clark Trust for a possible action and request for a variance to allow a 0-foot side and rear yard setback where 3 feet is required for an existing accessory structure Class 2 shed and an existing 720 square foot accessory structure Class 2 shed where 514 square feet is the minimum allowed, and a 5-foot distance separation from the main building where 6 feet is required for an existing accessory structure Class 2 shed, and 2 existing accessory structures Class 2 sheds that are not analytically compatible with the primary residence where such is required at 1916 Constantine Avenue, Ward 6. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this is a request for a variance to allow 2 existing sheds located on the east perimeter of the rear yard which were erected without obtaining building permits and do not comply with Title 19 development standards pertaining to setbacks, size, and aesthetic compatibility. No substantial evidence has been presented to warrant the requested variance as the 2 existing accessory structures were constructed without building permits and do not comply with Title 19 development standards. As the applicant has provided no compelling evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the site itself, staff recommends denial. Please note that there are additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
My name is Kent Scow, not Scrow, S-C-O-W. Thank you, panel, for letting me come up. I have letters here from other people in my neighborhood that they'd like to see this approved because I've lived there. My father purchased it back in 1963. I've born and raised in Las Vegas. I'm now 60 years old. I grew up in that house. Back in the day, yes, he did a permit on the shed in the corner, and I was the one that got to dig the trenches and everything else for it. Later on, and a few years later, he went and where the large shed is in 1972, we poured a slab. I did the digging for the electrical for it at the time, and we put up a tin shed at the time. About 8 years later, the neighbor next to us on the east side had moved in and wasn't taking care of an olive tree. The olive tree fell over, crushed the wooden fence, and crushed the metal shed at the time. His homeowner's insurance covered the replacement of that shed and the repairs of the wall. My father then went down to the Planning Commission and asked him at the time, I'm putting this shed up and I'm replacing an existing. Do I need any permits? They said no, as long as you're not increasing the footprint. So he went ahead and added a few extra dollars, and instead of putting a tin shed up, he made it as a tough shed style. Barn style. Yes, it is too close to the property line. I am willing to make the two walls to where they are 1 hour fire rated, which is the wall on the east and the wall on the south. Internally of the shed itself, it is 5/8 sheetrock. It is 2x4 construction with insulation. The exterior on the east and south wall, right now, my father had painted it with a fireproofing at the time. Since then, it's been 35 years of decay, but the wood still is intact and there is no chipping or shredding. I am willing to get a permit to forward this and put a 5/8 sheetrock on the exterior of the shed and put tin on the exterior of that, so that way it doesn't be degraded by Mother Nature. At the time, in this other perspective, in 1996, my father had a block wall built. I got the permits for that to go around the property line. If we were told by the building department at that time that the shed was not in compliant, I would have suggested my father, because I was in commercial maintenance at the time, of stopping the building of the shed and making it 1 hour fire rated because it was too close to property line, and then continue with a block wall. But that didn't happen. So now, what has started this to become this kind of problem is about 8 months ago, my neighbor on the east side of me, he chopped a tree, trimmed a tree, put a bunch of branches on the sidewalk, which crossed the whole sidewalk for a minimum of 2 weeks. So that way, no handicap, no people could walk down the sidewalk without either going onto his property line or going out into the street into the traffic area. I asked the resident, what are you gonna do about it? He snubbed his nose in the air, walked in his house.
Stick to the shed stuff.
Well, this is what created the code variance problem, or the, not code variant, the, yes, code variance problem that's initiated this whole thing.
Okay.
Okay?
Anything else? That's it? You good?
And then he believes I went against his property, and I didn't. I called code enforcement to have the trash removed from the sidewalk as an ADA compliant system. Since then, he retaliated and said the sheds were a problem.
Okay.
And he's lived with them and lived in that house for over 30 years.
Okay. All right, thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody else wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close it. Turn it over to commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I look at these all the time, and I typically have a little bit of a difficult time with them, especially if you look at the photos. It is off, I mean, just a foot off that rear property line. And it's not just a 1 hour firewall issue, because that could be handled through the building department, through putting up a firewall. It just comes down to when something's built that close to the property line, it catches trash, it catches all sorts of stuff, and then plus your neighbors are looking at it. And we allow one accessory structure and you have 3. So I'm having a bit of an issue with this, but I'd like to hear from my fellow commissioners and see if they have any thoughts.
Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, I do appreciate that those structures have been there for years, and it's an unfortunate set of circumstances that land you here. But the reality is your neighbors do have to look at that. We had one of these situations where a person in our neighborhood built essentially a shed without obtaining the proper variances, enraged the neighborhood. They came out, and he was told to tear it down after spending $50,000 or $70,000 to build that structure. Mm-hmm. And the reality is we do have to follow the rules, and these sheds just, they don't conform, unfortunately. So I would not be supporting this tonight.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would echo Commissioner Rogan's sentiments. I mean, it's really hard with this level of noncompliance, and so I will not be supporting this as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Schlotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and through you, I'd like to maybe ask the planning staff or planning director, and then ask the applicant, and he can direct us on what he'd like us to do. But I feel that in reading the staff report that one of these is a legally non-conforming structure that had a permit at one point, so that is a cleanup item on that one structure.
Through your chair, yes. So the shed on the southwest part of the property is a legal non-conforming structure. So if you disapprove the variance, that structure can remain. The other two would have to come down.
Okay. So one option is I could make a motion to, to make that or to grant the variance for that, so it becomes a no?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the structure on the southwest perimeter of the subject site has a building permit, so that is a legal structure. There was a building permit obtained for that structure, so that structure can remain as it currently exists on the subject site.
Okay.
The only two structures in question are the ones on the eastern perimeter.
Okay. Well, that being said, based on the testimony heard today and what I heard from my fellow commissioners and what we have typically voted on in the past, when we have this many accessory structures and it's that close to a property line, I'm gonna have to follow staff's recommendation for denial. You can work with the council person and see if there's something that you can come up with, but at this time, I'm gonna have to make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. A yes vote is for denial. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Okay.
So
Thank
you'll
you.
be heard before council next.
Thank you. I thank you for trying to get a hold of me and talk to me about it. I've tried to get a hold of my commissioner, and I never was able to. I tried to get a hold of you, and you were out of town. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Related items number 55 through 56, SUP 77896, applicant DT Ferguson LLC, owner 11th Street Tavern LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for an open-air vending transit sales lot use at 1031 Fremont Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. And item number 56, SDR 77897, for a possible action on a request for site development plan review for a proposed 9,000 square foot plaza, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Just going to go ahead and state that I'll be abstaining on this matter because I am under contract with the applicant on other properties within the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
Jennifer Taller, T-A-L-E-R, with,
I'm sorry, staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to operate a variety of events multiple times a month on an existing 12,096 square foot alley and plaza at the southwest corner of Fremont Street and 11th Street. Currently, special events are operated on the subject site through the issuance of special event permits. These permits limit the duration of the events as well as how many times a year the events may occur. Staff finds that the proposed outdoor event space with mobile food vendors supports the goals of the Vision 2045 Downtown Master Plan. The site will help promote a vibrant urban environment in downtown Las Vegas, which focuses on activity around transit hubs and activity nodes. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested special use permit and site development plan review with conditions. Please note that there are additional letters of support since publication. Also, the fire department has some proposed changes to the conditions that will be read into the record now. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
it's Jen Taller, T-A-L-E-R.
You want to read them in right now? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the condition that staff is proposing is item number 56, SDR 77897. Condition 4 to be amended as follows. All necessary building permits shall be obtained and final inspections shall be completed in compliance with Title 19 and all codes as required by the Departments of Building and Safety and Fire and Rescue. Compliance issues to be addressed shall include, but not be limited to, establishment of an occupant load calculated according to building area, code-compliant exiting and exit paths, electrical layouts, shade structures, and required fire extinguishers. Thank you.
Through the chair, if I could quickly disclose that my company's involved with the project that's in the notification area. It doesn't affect us any greater or lesser, so we'll be voting.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jen.
Am I saying my name again?
Go ahead.
Jen Taller, Taler, with Ferguson's Downtown, 1031 Fremont Street, and just our goals are to continue to support our local community and have a space that we can highlight them and just bring a gathering space for our community. So,
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn it over to Commissioner Schlottman. Oh, you're abstaining?
Happy to make the motion on this. Jen, thanks for being a good steward of the neighborhood with everything you guys are doing over there. I see staff's recommending approval. I'll be following that. I'll make a motion on item number 55, SUP 77896. Motion for approval.
You heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Oh, excuse me. Moving on to item number 56, SDR 77897. I'll make a motion for approval with the changes to condition number 4.
And you agree to those conditions?
yes.
Okay, heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 57, SDR 77943, applicant owner LAP Investments LLC for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 9,750 square foot parking lot with waivers of the perimeter landscape buffer requirements on the north side of Charleston Boulevard, west of Moonlight Drive, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant constructed a 27-space commercial parking lot adjacent to an existing medical office at 4236 East Charleston Boulevard to provide additional parking spaces for staff and patients. The parking lot was paved and developed without the necessary site development plan review and building permits, thus resulting in a code enforcement action. Staff does not support the requested waivers or the overall design of the parking lot, as it utilizes an unnecessary driveway from Charleston Boulevard that creates an additional traffic conflict with pedestrians and motorists alike on Charleston Boulevard, which is a 104-foot primary arterial street as defined by the Master Plan of Streets and Highways. Therefore, staff recommends denial of this site development plan review. Please note that there are additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present today? I do not see the applicant. It is a public forum. Does anybody wish to be heard on the item? Seeing none, I'll close that, and I will turn it over to Commissioner Schlottman.
Yes, so, Mr. Chairman, I've read this item, and I agree with staff. I feel that this is a concrete island, concrete strip up and down Charleston, and we have to do a better job and just stop granting variances on trees. If Todd Farlow was here, he would be up here yelling at us, for those who remember Todd Farlow. So, seeing that, I am ready for a motion.
Please.
On item 57, SDR 77943, I will follow staff's recommendation for denial.
You've heard the motion. A yes vote is for denial. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to City Council and be heard as part of their agenda on February 19th, 2020.
Next is citizen participation. Item number 60, citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless the subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record, the amount of time on any single subject, as well as the amount of time on any speaker allowed will be limited. This is noticed. Anybody wish to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public, and I would just like to say thank you for the well wishes there on my anniversary. Thank you all for the support for becoming chairman, and I look forward to spending a year with you guys, and I wish you all a Happy New Year.
Thank you, and I just want to make one comment before we adjourn the meeting. I was a little confused, thinking we only had one meeting this month, and I was telling people only one meeting, and so there is a second meeting this month. Anybody that's on the agenda, still come down and see us at the end of this month, and then we'll go to one meeting a month.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.